Hey guys, it's Bill from Linden, Tennessee. This is going to be a catch-up video, so it might end up being a little bit long. But I wanted to start with this view because I am, by golly, going to get back on the Volkswagen. And I wanted to start with a big, wide view because there's a reason I haven't really done much on this thing. There's a few reasons. One of which, it's been silly hot. It's been so hot. Been in the upper 90s. You add in Tennessee humidity, and we've had heat indexes well over 120, even up into the 130s. And I'll get home from work, and it'll be over 100 degrees in the shop after being at work where it's almost 100 degrees. So, nope, not doing that. That's one reason. That's an easy one to explain. The difficult one to explain is there's a lot to do here, and after taking a small break, it's kind of hard to get back into it. I don't know if you've ever run. If you ever run like any distance, if you ever stop to take a break, it's really hard to get going again. And that's kind of what this is. This truck is a bit of a marathon now. So I'll show you what I have gotten up to earlier this week and starting today. Let's check out this video I made a few days ago. Got my Tour de France on. Went ahead and got a subscription to Peacock so I can watch it. I do enjoy cycling. I don't do it as much as I would like to. I don't do it at all. I would like to do it more. Anyway, I got me a 10 kilowatt Tesla Model S/X charger here. I got a whole bunch of circuit boards from Open Inverter, evbmw.org, I think. But Damien McGuire is the guy that sort of did this. I would say I'm acquainted with Damien McGuire. I don't think I've ever actually met him in person, but in my days at EVTV, he's over in England, and he was instrumental in reverse engineering lots and lots of Tesla stuff. The charger, of course, but he also, I believe, was part of the crew that were the first to reverse engineer a Tesla drive unit, and we subsequently used the drive unit in the Doka. So check out Smoke a Doka if you want to see how that worked. But anyway, this is his control board for this charger. And this seal says right here, void warranty if broken. I guess that means the warranty is broken. Tesla's not going to help me at all now. That's a bummer. So let's pop this thing open and see what it looks like. All right, well, looks like that's the part I'm going to be replacing. That part. And from what I understand, I bought some connectors. I bought a connector for this one, and some data connectors for that and that. There's some solder in. It's a 20 pin solder in. This one is going to go, well, I assume it's going to go, I don't know, maybe it'll make itself obvious when I start messing with this, but yeah, that one is going to go up here somewhere. I've never soldered anything that small before, so I bought myself a little soldering kit off of Amazon. And it's got like a magnifying glass and adjustable temperature settings. This is all new to me, but I'm definitely going to be reaching out to some folks for help because I'm in over my head on this stuff, I'm afraid. I'm not really very good with electronics, but this is it. And got to do that. And then this is a Wi-Fi module that I suppose some of these pins solder into this part, and then that part is a shield perhaps for that, and then that goes on this somehow. I don't know. We're going to find out. But all right, this is the card from BMW, Damien McGuire, and Johannes Hubner, I think that's his name. They made this thing. They reverse engineered this whole thing so it can work in EV conversions, and they put some information out there on how to get it going. And I also found a couple other links. This is the little Wi-Fi board that goes on it, and it goes right there, just like that. The problem is that that's too tall. Like, this won't clear the hood, as it were. So I needed an extension because I wanted to, you know, kind of put this thing over here somewhere, just hot glue it down or something. So I got this one off of the Amazons, but it's really kind of dumb. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to explain this properly, and I don't really know that it matters all that much. But so these two top rows, they so that yellow is this yellow, and this red is this red, and then vice versa on the other side. But these are not, these are mirrored instead of reversed. So whenever you plug this in here, this is on the wrong side to plug into there. So what needs to happen is, if this was two pieces, you would take this top part and flip it upside down. Just the top part flipped. You can't flip the whole part upside down. You just need to flip this top part upside. Anyway, I dang near burned out that little bitty transistor or IGBT. I don't know what the hell that does, but I damn near burned that thing out. That got really hot, but I noticed the heat before anything very bad happened, and it's all good. So what I'm going to do is, I got a whole bunch of these things for like breadboards. I'm just going to put one in. I'm going to put the red in here and the red in there, and just wire it up manually like it should be. It's going to be a pain in the butt because I can't see that good. But let me show you what this looks like kind of when you get it going. All right, so wiring on this is actually really, really simple, at least to bench test it and take a look at some parameters. You got two terminals here. I guess they call it A and B. This only gets a single 12 volt on that side and a 12 volt on this side and a ground on this side. And then there's a chassis ground here. So this just comes around to that chassis ground, goes to a little 12 volt supply. And then this one goes around, ties into this 12 volt. That's it. That's all you need to do. That makes all of this stuff work. You get a little flashy yellow light, and you get a little blue light that initially comes on when this thing comes on. Then you come over here and you find your Wi-Fi things and ESP, connect. Takes a minute. Connected. Then you come up and you then you find 192.186.4.1, and this is this is what comes up, this screen right here. It's pretty simple. This is actually the same, this is sort of a universal screen that this open inverter people use for, if you use it, they make control boards for inverters for like hybrid motors and Tesla motors and all kinds of Leaf motors, but they make inverter control boards for all of those, and they all use this same thing. So like if you see this one right here, it says start inverter in manual mode. I mean, this isn't an inverter, this is a charger, but it's just the same thing. I'm guessing that doesn't do anything for this. Then you come up here to parameters, click parameters, and when I did that, this is the screen that it came up with. It went straight from parameters to spot values, which is the next menu, and it didn't give me anything at all. And I spent 20 minutes trying to like track down and guess and reading and trying to figure out what I've done wrong. And all I did is I just needed to click toggle category visibility, and there you go. Then you get some adjustable parameters. You got an amperage DC limit, an amperage AC limit, and an amperage set point for DC. That'd be the maximum amperage that the thing can charge at. You get a voltage, DC, voltage, AC, limits, and set points. So it's pretty basic. It's pretty straightforward. There's some stuff in here I don't know what it means. ID, KP, amperage, DC, KP. I don't know what KP is, and it doesn't even give a value of what the thing is we're looking at. But anyway, that's it. And then on spot values, there's these will be populated when it's actually doing something, and you can just watch it happen. And then you can also plug all this in, I think, to a Arduino software that'll You can watch it actively do stuff. And what I'm hoping is, my big hope is that somehow on a screen or on just a toggle switch would be fine. I'll be able to toggle between charge amperage limits. So when I plug it into my garage, I can charge it, say 3 or 6 kilowatts. And if I ever do my generator thing like I want to do, I can charge it 10 kilowatts, and I'll be able to toggle between those two. But anyway, this is kind of cool. So at least I got this going. I still have to, I guess the next step would be go ahead and wire up some. These are the other two connectors. The one on the right there, that's for your AC inputs. It's got white, purple, white, purple, white, purple. That's just the inputs for the AC, and it's got black, red, black, red. And basically what's going on here, you can see these boards. This is just 3.3 kilowatt chargers, and there's 3 of them. And I guess you can just use one if you want to, or use all 3 of them at a lower rate. I don't know. But yeah, that's it. It's pretty basic wiring on that side, and pretty basic on this side too. I should be able to wire this into my CAN bus on the Volkswagen so that my battery management system can talk to it to tell it when to charge and not charge and stop charging, and if there's a problem to stop charging now, damn it. But anyway, that was kind of what I wanted to get accomplished today, and I did all that before lunchtime. So now I may be forced to drag myself out into the heat and take care of that. But yeah, so there you go, the charger, Tesla charger. Not sure where it's going to go. It's probably going to go up here in the front because it has to sit level, and this is a pretty convenient place for it to sit level. And I could run a little this is liquid cooled, this charger is, so I could run a little fan and a little radiator. So this is probably where it's going to go up in front. So that's that. The other thing is the Jeep, but this is the power steering unit that was in it. This is actually a power steering unit out of a Prius, and surprisingly enough, a little Prius power steering unit was strong enough to steer a Jeep with 1,000 pounds of Tesla batteries and a pretty heavy Jeep with big tires. It was still strong enough to turn that with really no effort at all. So I thought that'd be pretty sweet to put that thing in this thing. And one thing to note about those, they're not waterproof. On the Jeep, I had it mounted outside of the cabin, and it got water in it. So I had to take that thing apart as best I could, clean out the old rusty, nasty grease, and put new stuff in it. And there's no way it's going to fit right here. There's just no way. There's a really sharp U-joint that comes from the steering column down to here. It's not going to happen. So I thought maybe I could fit that thing on the inside. So I found my steering column, kind of installed it here. So we got a brake pedal right there and a clutch pedal. I'm going to take that clutch pedal out because we're not going to need it. But there wasn't anywhere to put it in here either. There was almost enough space for it to kind of go in there at an angle and have the motor sort of sticking out to the lower right, I guess you'd say. But that's where the throttle pedal needs to go somewhere. That needs to go right there. This one's out of a Focus, I think, and this is the one that was in the Jeep. This is out of a Tesla. So the only main difference between the two is that there's like an offset in them. So we'll just have to see. Where this goes is going to kind of depend on where the little HVAC box is. So this is going to be a project for later. Can't do that now. But there's no way that we're going to have power steering in here. It's just not going to happen. This is the shaft that it does get. But this has got skinny little, 185 tires or something like that on it. So it really doesn't matter. 175 tires. So these are little dudes. There's not a lot of weight in the front, so it'll be okay. It didn't have power steering before, and I never missed it. Power brakes, however, I haven't given up on that. I think one of these last times I talked to you about, there's a company that you buy this really sexy CNC machined brake master cylinder. And what they do is up there, that hole right there is where the push rod goes for the brake master cylinder that goes in that hole. And that's where the push rod goes from the factory. What they do is they re-drill that maybe an inch taller and then relocate the position of the master cylinder like an inch higher. And what that does, at least in theory, I'm not exactly buying it, what that does is it increases your leverage on the pistons of your master cylinder. It increases your leverage, but of course it decreases the travel. You're pushing with more force, but you're traveling a lower distance. So what they say they do is they just give you a master cylinder with a larger piston so that you can move more fluid. Well, if you're pushing a larger piston, then it's going to take more force. So you have to have the pivot up higher. So I'm not really sure that there's any net gain on that whole system, but that's kind of what I was thinking I might do. So I got me a big old sexy black master cylinder from Summit Racing, and I was going to re-drill that hole and mount this, you know, up here somewhere, which kind of works for me because it gives me more clearance above the battery box. So that is not a terrible thing. And I can still do that because I think it's too late for me to return this. So this is mine now. But I do want to try and do power brakes still. I kind of had ruled out an electric system from like a Tesla or a CRV, the electric power assist brakes that they use, because I didn't think it was going to fit. Pretty sure it's not going to fit. But I don't know. I don't know if it's not going to fit. So I'm going to get one. I've got one ordered, and it should be here next week or something. So I'm going to get it. I'm going to see if I can orient it maybe sideways. I'll put a little picture of what one looks like right here. Yeah, there on the side, there's like a little flat piece. That's the logic board. I'm thinking maybe I can mount that sideways and then readjust the master cylinder so that it's straight up and down, rotate it 90 degrees. Anyway, I'm hoping that I can do that. I may need to relocate the whole thing up a little bit higher, and perhaps I can do some sort of linkage or something. I don't know, but I really want to have power brakes. Not having power brakes I think would be bad, because like that might work, but like I said, I'm a little bit skeptical. And what I would really dislike is if it didn't work, and you know, year or so from now when I've got this thing all finished and I go to try and test this thing, if my brake pedal is super duper hard, well, now what do I do? Like, I'm kind of in trouble. So I'm gonna give this a shot. Let's see what happens. And then the other thing I did with what I'm gonna end up doing, what I've done, is on my drive shafts. So down there, see what the drive shaft was. That's my new flanges that are designed to work with Porsche 911 CV joints, inners, and then, but there's no drive shafts there. That's because I finally just said, all right, let's see what we got. So I took the CV joints out that I had sort of mocked up. It's just this, I just had clamps on there for a little while just so I could adjust these distances. I made them both, eyeballed it the same, got them both out, took the CVs off, and then now I've just got the raw shaft here, and I compared them next to each other, and this is the passenger one. It's an 1/8 of an inch shorter than the driver's side was, so that's pretty sweet. I had to sort of shorten this one when I took it out just to make it fit, because if you recall, one of my biggest concerns was back when I was wanting to use the Tesla inboards is that I'd never be able to get the things out without removing the DD-on tube and cutting that thing in half and putting some sort of a flange on it. I really didn't want to do that. But with this situation, I can obviously get these out and I didn't have to remove anything. So that is a big win. And I actually got these out with the axle at ride height. So if these were a little bit longer, that'd be okay too, because then all I'd have to do is just drop the axle down a little bit and that'd give me some more room, some more clearance. So that's pretty sweet. So this is the shorter of the two. I'm going to send this one along with the inners from the Mini Cooper CV joint and the Porsche CV joint. I'm going to send this off with those inners and a little data sheet of what I want. And I'm going to have the shorter of the two made for me. That way I know I'll be able to get this one back in. And if it turns out that being a little bit too short during like a I don't really know how I could ever fully extend the suspension on that thing, but let's say it did happen. If it ever fully extended and it popped this inner CV joint, because this is the one that takes the travel of the suspension, if it ever popped this one out, whereas this shaft was too short, I could always put a spacer. I could always make a spacer between this and a little stub shaft on the drive unit. So that's something else that I'm doing. And then finally, what I've started to do now is I'm going to get back to this rust situation. Now, I'd come back here a while back. In fact, let's look at a couple quick videos of this. Today I needed to fix some rust holes. I will insert a picture right here of what this used to look like and what it looks like now. And then I went ahead and went around this thing with a little skinny screwdriver and just poked really hard on all the floorboards and the running boards and all that stuff, trying to find more holes. And it didn't disappoint. It's kind of disheartening whenever you go along and you're like, oh, there's like a little hole, and then you start, oh, there's my rust finder, and you're like, oh, there's another one. And this one's kind of odd because there's like a double layer of metal here, and it's the outer layer that's rusted. The inner layers seems to be fine, but hold on. Yeah, the inner layer seems to be kind of fine. But anyway, so I'll need to get that fixed. And then you're just poking along, and all of a sudden it's like, oh shoot, well, there's some more, dang it. Then you come after it with a flap disc on your grinder and find out that it's more than you thought. And you're like, haha, we're doing good. Oh, there's some, oh dear. Yeah. This part right here is kind of a pain, because there's like a body line right here, and that rust is, well, it's on it. So I'm gonna have to be kind of creative about fixing that. And of course it's down here on the bottom too. And all right, up there we go, down there on the bottom too, underneath. This I'm not too worried about. I'll probably fill that in with 16 gauge. I'll fill that with larger steel. I'll probably cut. Oops, sorry, I'm holding it with my left hand here, so I'll cut along this way probably, and then the 16 gauge will kind of just form that body line. And then yeah, and that's that. So, but I'm gonna do a whole bunch of cutting and see if I can't dig all this stuff out. All right. Well, okay, here's where we are. After some digging, this is what I came up with. Oh my, what a mess. So, got some work to do. This is just one of those deals where you just you come in every once in a while and you fix one and then you sort of move on. These ones are obviously going to take a lot longer. I'll probably do this in certainly 2 sections. Probably have one go straight across here, and this is curved, so this is kind of a pain. So that's that. These little holes right here, I think I'll be able to just hit them with the welder just to fill them in. That shouldn't be a problem. But yeah, I mean, I guess it could be worse. Like I said, I'll fill that in with 16 gauge. So that's nice. And, oh, it's 22 gauge. All this sheet metal on these things is 22 gauge, so it's real thin. I need to get in there with a vacuum cleaner and get all this crap out of here. Just more stuff for it. Oh yeah. So that little guy, that was right here. All right, there you go. So that was actually a really, really long time ago. I'm not sure when that was, but it had to have been in the fall, I think. I mean, it may have even been winter, but that was a long time ago that I did this. Removed all that metal, and now what I've done is just taken a bunch of tape and then just sort of scratched with my finger where the hole is. Now I'll pull that tape off, cut the outline of where my finger scratch marks are, and then put that onto a piece of 22 gauge or whatever it is, 24 gauge sheet metal. Cut that out and then form it so that it fits this curve. This is just a simple curve. This isn't like compound or anything. So all I have to do is just put a little roundiness in it and get that all welded in there. And hopefully that'll go almost as easy as I just said it. And there's another little hole back there, and then another one up there, and I think there's even another on the bottom. But basically this whole side was sort of trashed. And then another thing that I want to do is a long time ago, really long time ago, I fixed a hole that was there, fixed a big hole that was here, but on the other side, on the inside of this, I just kind of half-assed it. Well, I'm going to full-ass it. I'm going to go in there and cut that out. I may end up having to drop this whole DD on tube and get rid of the spring and everything, just so I've got good access to it. But yeah, another thing I need to do is I need to finish welding the mounting for the Tesla drive unit. And yeah, so that is, and then there's also that. This is my tow bar. I'm gonna have a tow bar, a hitch on this thing. This piece right here is the exact width between the between the spring perches, the rear spring perches, and that'll just go up there and weld in on the side where the springs mount. And then this, I'm going to cut a notch out of that piece, cut a notch out of that, set that down into it, weld it around, and then put that whole thing up there, and that will be my trailer hitch. So back to why, the second reason why I haven't really done this is because there's just so much to do. It gets very, very overwhelming, and if you take a break, then you know, everything starts to build up. And that's my little HVAC there. And these are some heater cores. This is the factory heater core that you circle coolant through. That is an electric heater core out of a Tesla Model 3, and that is the electric heater core out of a little smart car. So the electric heater cores are going to go in that thing. So at some point I got to take that HVAC box apart and figure out how I'm going to put that in there. Anyway, I'm getting way ahead of myself, but hopefully giving you an idea of what I'm looking at. And then finally, this is really, really sweet. My buddy Kevin Erickson up in Colorado, he's got a pretty cool website. It's just his name, but he made this really nice Plymouth satellite, made it electric with a drive unit. He made it about the same time I'm in my Jeep, but he's got a 3D printer and he knows how to use it. So he made this really, really cool, this really cool fuse block that's sort of specific to an EV conversion. His company that he's coming up with is EV muscle cars, but this is specific to a conversion. One of the biggest headaches of doing an EV conversion, in my brain anyway, is headache in my brain, is integrating the new high voltage EV stuff with the old 12 volt wiring. Now with this, I'm going to go ahead and just get a whole new wiring harness, but I'm still going to have to go through there and find the wire that should have been for the ignition or for the you know, the coil or the whatever for the alternator, and repurpose that. But what this does is it gives you a whole bunch of extra fuses that you can use for EV specific things. Like this relay I might use for the power steering, the power brakes. Might use it for that. These first three, maybe I'll use for 3 of the inputs for my controller that the Tesla drive unit needs. And you know, all these relays could be used for something else. And yeah, so that's pretty neat. Or it may turn out that I don't really have that many EV inputs and I can just use this for my wiring, for the whole dang wiring for this whole thing. I don't know yet. So I'm just, lots going on, lots to think about, trying to keep up. And anyway, long video. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.